How to exercise your horse's talents, Western riding. If you want to compete with your horse, or just get to know him better, you need to exercise him regularly. To get the best out of him, you should take him through the same routine at least 3 times a week, in addition to feeding him the proper nutrition and vitamins, caring for him, and grooming him on a regular basis. The following exercise plan covers several skills necessary for competition that will build your horse's trust in you. Steps. 1. Prepare your horse for the ride. First, catch him and lead him to a hitching post. If he is wearing a blanket, take it off. Now, groom him. Do this by brushing him, picking out his hooves, and combing his mane and tail. Now, tack him up. Make sure you get the girth tight. If your horse dislikes being bridled, you may need some help. Before you ride, you may want to join up with him. Pet him, talk to him calmly, and let him know you love him. This is a great chance to bond with him. As soon as you are ready, mount up and ride. 2. Warm him up. Take him to the arena and walk him in circles. After a few laps around, begin doing figure 8s and spirals, moving in a circular motion and making your circles smaller and smaller. Still at the walk, turn him in the reverse direction and begin trotting. Repeat the previous exercises at the trot. Bring him back down to a walk, then halt him. After a few seconds, bring him back to the trot and ask for a lope. Repeat the exercises again. Bring him down to a trot, reverse directions, walk him, and halt again. Quick note, you don't have to follow all the warm-up steps exactly, they are just a suggested plan. Decide what works best for you. Now that your horse is warmed up and ready to go, get ready for some real riding. 3. Dismount and tie your horse for a moment. Remember, never tie a horse by the reins. Once he is secure, gather the materials you will need for your course. You will need at least 3 barrels or large boxes, 6 poles, several fence boards or long, skinny pieces of wood, 2 cinder blocks or bricks per board. 4. To set up the course, begin with the poles. Line up the poles along one of the long sides of the rectangular arena. They should be about 3 yards apart. Save plenty of room at the end and beginning of the line. Now for the barrels. If you plan to barrel race, they should be set in a triangular pattern. Take 2 of the barrels down to one of the short ends of the arena. This will be your starting point. Set the barrels across from each other on opposite sides of the arena, setting the barrel on the right slightly closer to you. Remember to leave some space between the barrels and the edge of the arena. Now, drag the remaining barrel between the 2 other ones. Set it down several yards behind the other barrels, directly in the middle. The barrel racing course should resemble a triangle. Next, you will set up some small jumps. Although most Western horses are not trained to jump, all horses have the ability. This part of your course will really test your horse's skill and his trust in you. Assembling the jumps is very easy. Simply set up 2 cinder blocks or bricks and lay a board on top of them. Make sure they are on the opposite side of the arena as the poles. The jump should be no more than 4 inches tall, if your horse has never jumped before. If you decide to build multiple jumps, leave lots of room between them. To show your jumping range and warn the horse of the approaching jump, place a barrel on the opposite side of the jump as the fence. The barrel and the fence are your boundaries. Now, get back on your horse and prepare to ride the course. Depending on how long it took you to set up the course, you may need to warm up again. 5. To weave the poles, start at one end of the line and simply steer your horse so he goes between the poles. You don't need to yank on his head for the turns, just slightly move your hand, and he should respond. Once you can do this at the walk, try the trot, then the lope. The object is to weave quickly without knocking the poles over. If done correctly, you will feel the horse twisting under you. Even if your horse messes up or knocks over the poles, stay confident and keep trying. 6. The barrels are to practice barrel racing. Before you attempt to run the course, practice on the computer. The following link will take you to a game where you will learn the course. Barrel blast at horsecity.com to run the course. Begin at the starting point. Remember to barrel race safely. Get your horse walking and head for the barrel on the right. Go around it on the left. Now approach the second barrel, which should be next to the first one. Go around it on the right side and head for the third, and final, one. Go around this one on the right and go between the other 2 barrels until you reach the place where you started. When you are going back to the starting point after you circle the last barrel, pick up speed. This is called the home stretch. Once you can do it at the walk, try the trot, then the lope. After doing this exercise, your horse may get excited and maybe even out of control. To get through the next activity, you will need to get him under control. 7. After that, it's time for the jumps. It is best to jump your horse at the trot or a slow lope, because if you do it at the walk, he will just step over the jump like it's a twig. Ask for a trot and head straight for the jump. Unlike English riding, you are not required to shorten the reins, rise into 3-point, etc. That is hard to do in a Western saddle, and it will only confuse your horse. If he has never jumped before, he may try to avoid the fence, so make sure you keep him in line. Try not to flop forward and hit the horn when he jumps, as this is painful. If he knocks it over, don't get mad, just dismount and set it back up. Keep trying until he has jumped it at least 3 times. Every time he makes it over, pat him and tell him how great he is. 8. After your horse is finished jumping, it's time for a trail ride. This is not required, but it is a good way to reward and relax the horse and cool off. Remember to stay safe. 9. When you get back from your trail ride, untack your horse. If he is really sweaty, which he should be after a workout like that, give him a quick bath. If, for some reason, he isn't very hot, just give him a good grooming. Remember, it is very important that your horse is properly cooled down. You may also need to calm him down a bit. Once you're done, turn him out in his paddock or put him in his stall. Warnings. Not all horses can do these things. You should take it slow so that you do not hurt him.